My 26th ranked team, the Los Angeles Angels. Fangraphs has them ranked at 24. Obviously, the big storyline of the offseason, they lost Shohei Ohtani, the best player in baseball. I don't think this team is actually that bad, necessarily. But they lost Ohtani, who is the best player in baseball, which I already said that. They also lost CJ Cron, who I didn't even know they had. They lost Gio Urshela, who's solid. They lost Jared Walsh, who actually they outrighted him to the minors. They didn't necessarily lose anything crazy other than Ohtani. But Ohtani is that crazy that it kind of deflates your franchise. They did add a lot of pieces, like guys like Zach Plesac, Adam Simber, Jake Marisnick, Willie Calhoun, the reliever Luis Garcia, Hunter Dozier. Their biggest signing was Robert Stevenson, who was really solid with the Rays a year ago. They brought in Jose Cisnero. I'm pretty sure he used to play for the Detroit Tigers. Drew Pomerantz, a former top 10 pick. They brought back Matt Moore after trading for him. They also brought in Aaron Hicks, Miguel Sano. They did not bring in anything insane. They just kind of were like, okay, let's throw a couple pieces at this roster. I actually like the starting rotation. They have a guy named Sam Bachman who got shoulder surgery, who we don't know if he's going to be available. They have him, and they have Jack Kochanowicz, who's also a pitcher in the minors who has potential to make it to the big leagues this year. They have Reed Detmers, who I think is a solid pitcher, not elite by any means. Griffin Canning, who's pretty solid as well. They also have Patrick Sandoval, Tyler Anderson, and Chase Silseth. I think all these guys are kind of solid. I think Tyler Anderson was really good with the Dodgers in 2022. He made a change with his changeup. He threw it soft. He threw 2 miles an hour lower, and it dropped vertically a lot more, and it became a really good pitch that he could rely on, but he wasn't able to keep it up a second year in a row. He got injured last year. I just don't believe that he'll be able to get back to that. Patrick Sandoval, in my opinion, was a Cy Young candidate potentially going into either last year. He looked really good. Last year, he struggled a little bit. Same thing with Reed Detmers, and Griffin Canning getting back into the rotation is an interesting thing. Right now, if there's Reed Detmers as the race, I think it's Patrick Sandoval, and I don't really think it's that close. At catcher, you got Logan O'Hoppe, who I think could surprise some people. I think he's a really good offensive player. Defensively, I think he might have some things to work on, but Logan O'Hoppe, in a short amount of time a year ago, was really solid. He had a 796 OPS in just 51 games due to injuries, 111 OPS plus, 14 homers. I think he's a really good offensive piece, and at catcher, that's huge. I think offense at catcher is something you don't really see very often these days. I think it's exciting to see an offensive first catcher. At first base, you got Nolan Shanuel, who got drafted last year and immediately made it up to the big leagues. Foolish Bailey does not like him going into this year. I think he could surprise some people. He walks at a 15.2% rate, only a 14.4% K rate. It is so difficult to find guys who walk a lot and don't strike out who are this young. He just got drafted in June of last year. He got called up in like a month, and he was really solid in his short amount of time. I think he might struggle a little bit in a full season. Pitchers figure him out, but I think he could surprise some people and be really, really good. At second base, Luis Rengifo is a solid hitter, like a 750 OPS guy. He's an average player. Third base is Anthony Rendon. And everyone hates Anthony Rendon because it seems like he doesn't like baseball. And I think he can surprise people. He hasn't been healthy since going to the Angels. The last time he was healthy, he was one of the best players in baseball. I think as long as he stays healthy, he could go back to that. Some of the comments that he makes is not that insane. It's just that it's him saying it, and he doesn't seem to care about the game of baseball. And then you got Zach Neto, who was drafted in 2022 and made it to the big leagues in 2023. He's a solid defender and a solid offensive guy. I know Mike Trout speaks highly of him, and he's only 23 years old. I think he could surprise some people, improve going into year 2. Then you got in left field projected as Taylor Ward. He could surprise some people. He was really good in 2022. battled some injuries in 2023. I think he could have a big bounce back year. Then you have Mike Trout in center field. I think he's got to move to right or left field at some point in the next 4 years, maybe like 5 years at the most. He's so injury prone, but he is one of the best players in the history of baseball. I think Mike Trout, if he stays healthy, is an MVP candidate no matter what. It's just they don't really have anything else, and I feel bad for him. The Angels, they're bad, other than Trout. And then in right field, the projected right fielder is Mickey Moniak, who I believe can disappoint some people. He doesn't walk a lot. He strikes out a lot. He overperformed his expected slugging and his expected batting average a year ago. He is getting an opportunity to kind of play every day, but you do have Joe Adell and Aaron Hicks, who are both potentially taking an outfield spot from him at some point in the year. I have the team losing one more game than a year ago at 72-90. I don't think this team is bad. I think they could potentially, if the pitching staff, everyone lives up to their potential, these young guys really prove themselves, I could see this team potentially sneaking into the postseason. I somehow got an over-under of 77 on my own. Vegas says 72.5. I would bet the under on 72.5 simply because they lost Ohtani and they won 73 games last year. How are they going to be just as good as they were a year ago? But I could see these young guys improving. That is the Angels 2024 season preview.